My name is James Wilsterman. I'm Max's co-founder. I'm also the CTO at Volley. And as Max mentioned, we're interested in this kind of dichotomy between tools and products using AI. This panel, we're very interested, and I'm very interested in how AI is affecting the engineering organizations and developer experience at many companies. I think we have an amazing all-star panel here to help us out. In fact, we have 3 current YC companies all meeting here and being here right in advance of Demo Day next week, so that's really exciting. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. Max and I went through Y Combinator 5 years ago now, so excited to hear what is going on in the batch today. So we will kick it off with some introductions. Why don't you start, and Yasmin, just introduce yourself and your company.
Thank you. So hi, everyone. I'm Yasmin, the CEO of Wild Moose. In Wild Moose, we help on-call developers solve production incidents. We do it by taking generative AI and train it specifically on the environment of the developers. So basically, we take observability data and we feed it into large language models. And then when something breaks, they can just basically ask the Moose a question and get an answer.
Thanks so much. And Emily?
Hello, everyone.
Flip it on. Just.
There we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily. I'm the co-founder of Peak. And we're working to make AI really easy to build and integrate for non-AI developers. We've found that there are so many incredible tools and models out there, but they're still not super easy for non-AI first companies to build and iterate with in their own products. So we're trying to bridge that gap.
Thanks. Lydia?
Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm the co-founder for Code Complete. So Code Complete is basically GitHub Copilot for enterprise. A lot of large companies can't use Copilot because of the security and privacy risks. So we're building a self-hosted version that's also fine-tuned on the company's code base.
Amazing. And we'll get into all of the details there. But maybe just to kick us off, I am interested, what is it like to be gearing up for Y Combinator Demo Day and being in the batch today with, I imagine, a lot of AI companies? Just give us a little context on what's going on. To anyone, yeah.
There's so much going on. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's a fantastic time to be going through Y Combinator as an AI company because there are so many other companies in this space, and so we're really able to leverage each other and to learn from each other, which has been fantastic.
And can you give us a quick guess on the percentage of companies in the batch using AI or pitching themselves as an AI company?
I have a somewhat funny story about this. So we were at the YC retreat, and you could sign up for activities. And these activities are not through YC. They're through the tour operator or something. And someone was telling us they went on the bike ride, and the tour guide asked, so what's everyone working on? And everyone said, AI. And the funniest part was the tour guide said, yeah, last year it was all crypto.
That's really funny. I guess, what does that ever give you pause to say, all right, how do I manage expectations and, the hype cycle around AI right now, especially as an early stage company?
Yeah, I think for sure all of us are kind of going through the same questions and concerns around how this technology is going to evolve in the next couple of years and how can we make sure we're actually addressing a real actual need of a customer and using the technology to address it and not just following the hype here.
I'm imagining group office hours with the YC partners and them probably repeating the same thing over and over again is, to focus on your company, to build what you're doing. Is that accurate? What is the advice you're receiving from YC?
We get a lot of advice around making sure that the AI that we're building is practical, useful, and solving real problems. So really trying to ground ourselves in problems that users are facing and how we can address them.
Makes sense. And I am interested in what other companies in the batch, given that there are a lot of companies building and leveraging AI, are there any debates that are ongoing among other companies or amongst yourselves in terms of how best to use these technologies to build an early stage startup?
I think something that maybe everyone thinks about a lot is defensibility and how you set yourself apart. The other thing is probably because the market changes so quickly, how do you always stay relevant? Do you pivot a ton? Do you just go really deep in some things? I think, yeah, people have different takes. There's always a few different companies working on the same problem, and they might have slightly different takes on how to attack it. So I imagine those are probably interesting questions for the groups.
Do you feel there's also like the collaborative element? Like, are people sharing the awesome prompts that they discovered, or is that something happening?
Oh, definitely a lot of collaboration. I think people love geeking out to this. There's tons of group chats, and just even when you're, sometimes we go to these YC events not expecting, just expecting to have a casual chat, and then people do deep technical dives into certain things, and it really creates a light bulb moment for us and our team, and it's been great, yeah.
How much is Y Combinator sort of helping you get in touch with the foundational models and working directly with those companies?
They've been huge. I mean, we have a lot of early access to foundational models that are coming out, which is great for us because then we can kind of be first in line to investigate what these models can be used for in the world before they kind of get let loose. And
when you see something like that early, is it kind of you have a secret that the world is going to change? It feels like a unique insight, or how has that felt? Being given that early access.
I mean, we actually have a customer success person in specifically for us in OpenAI, but I think all the companies are really working hard now to kind of really make sure that we're getting our needs met,
Yep.
and they actively ask us what we need from them to make our technology better. So that's the type of relationship we now have with those type of companies.
That's amazing. So let's switch sort of themes here to talking about developer experience broadly in terms of how you're all using AI and how your products fit into the vision of how engineers will be adopting AI going forward. I am really interested in how you are leveraging AI in your own companies to build products, and what does that look like for your co-founder, CTO?
So for us, kind of hilariously, our product doesn't really use AI so much as it helps other people leverage AI
Yep.
in their products. And I mean, as I'm sure everybody here is aware, there's just so many tools, and there's so many options, and there's so many models, and there's a lot going on. And so where we try to see ourselves fitting in is to help people navigate that space to choose the tools and options that will best allow them to have AI do whatever they need it to do in their apps.
Can you give some examples of how companies would be leveraging your product to build those tools?
So right now we're doing a lot of custom document search, so people struggle a lot with which embeddings models they want to be using, because depending on what you're doing, it will work better or worse. And so we have built some custom solutions for other YC companies that we plan on getting out of beta, because it's all very new, but to other companies facing similar problems.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're primarily helping companies who maybe don't have the AI expert on their team, right? Take advantage of this technology.
Yep. We talk a lot about how we think AI is going to be everywhere, but it might not be as loud as you seem to dream. It's not HAL. Instead, it's going to be really good ads, auto-filled emails, and so on. So we're thinking that almost every application in the next few years is going to have some AI component.
Do you believe in a future where many AIs have a natural language interface? Or many products will adopt that maybe don't have that right now?
I suspect so. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that would benefit from some sort of natural language processing, but there's a lot more to AI beyond NLP
for
as
sure.
well. And I think we're just kind of on the frontier of how can this actually improve people's lives, improve products, and so on.
Makes sense. Yasmin, did you want to add to that? Or?
Yeah, for sure. I can share a little bit about how we're using AI. So basically, we are using mostly retrieval reader architecture, which means for us, because the idea that we need in real time to give answers to question about your production environment, we basically use embedding and similarity search to be able to, in real time, identify what is the relevant information to send to a large language model with other metadata and stuff like that to be able to give you an accurate answer. Yeah, and I mean, we use AI all the time, like for stuff like generating our logo and
Nice.
so yeah, it's all over.
A decent chunk of our website was built by OpenAI.
Yeah, you were telling me that earlier. So you used ChatGPT to kind of help you learn React, or
Yeah.
that's incredible.
I learned React about 3 months ago to build our website because I'm a back-end developer primarily, and OpenAI really, really helped push me along and get better at it, which is kind of hilarious.
Lydia?
So I mentioned earlier that we're building a self-hosted model in order to help enterprise customers, which also means that we, for our product itself, we can't use API calls or OpenAI's foundation models. So my co-founder has always been an ML engineer, and so he worked a lot on the model training, ML infrastructure piece, and is not great at all the other developer, front end, back end, like extensions that we're building out for our product. Definitely heavy user of Copilot, which is a little ironic given that we are.
Yeah, what about the proprietary data?
So I think maybe the funny thing here is actually when he was at Meta, he really wanted to use and this is what inspired our whole product. He wanted to use Copilot at work, and his leadership team just said, no, we will never use anything that sends our code out to a third party. And now he gets to use that all the time. So for this, but the ML side, not so much. On the overall, we're building out extensions for the IDEs that you're working on. Those I think has been tremendous.
Why don't you talk a little bit about how Code Complete gets deployed into an organization and what that would look like for anyone in the audience who's looking to adopt that technology?
Oh yeah, if anyone is interested, if your company has a policy where you can't use Copilot, please reach out to me. So the idea here is that we work with our own models that we have augmented to really deploy this into the customer's VPC. So this sits behind the customer's firewalls. The deployment process is usually something like if you're in the cloud, we have a Terraform script that you pull in a lot of the containers and information about. It helps you auto-provision the servers necessary. If you're on-prem, we do have a more bespoke model, given that how complicated those are. But the idea is that you would host your own LLM in order to both take advantage of the AI advances, but also remain secure and compliant, because I think there's a large segment of the market that can't really, they would love to use Copilot, and we've heard this from a lot of our customers. They would love to use something that gives them a developer productivity boost, but they can't for the reasons I mentioned above.
Makes sense. Yasmin, I guess I'm interested for Wild Moose. What is the response to integrating your product, and how does that work with bringing the documentation and the layers of information you need to create the alerting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, we're getting a lot of inbound from developers that are curious to see this type of application for AI, because I think it's a little bit different than what is out there. Our hot take is that most focus right now of developer tools and leveraging generative AI is mostly focusing on the part of the fraction in programming that is writing the code, but a lot of the issue today is troubleshooting and debugging, which is a lot of the experience, and you don't have a lot of developer tools today focusing on that. So we get a lot of developers really excited to try and use it for that specific application, and yeah, like you mentioned, we need to kind of get we get it integrated, and for them to be able to share data with us to give the full value. But we also offer what we call low touch type of product that allows them to see the value with really minimal integration, just by installing us through Slack and giving us just
a slight amount of information.
Yep.
Yeah, got it. So. Yeah, why don't you tell us all just a little bit about how far along you are, what you're looking to accomplish at Demo Day coming up, and what's the next step for your companies?
I'll start. We publicly launched about a month ago. We've actually already signed up three really large customers. They're public companies or companies with 600 engineers. We charge on a per seat basis, and we think you start seeing the economies of scale when you get to 200 engineers or above. We're super excited. I think for a demo day, we'd love to just showcase our technology a bit more and have a few more customers sign up. That would be great. But we're also just excited for the deployments with these pilot customers. I think a big piece of our technology is on the fine tuning, and I think there's going to be a lot of learnings given that.
So there's a bit of a flywheel where, like, as people start using your product in the company, you're getting better at the code completion?
Yeah, that's right. There's a reinforcement learning layer where, depending on whether or not the developer accepts, rejects, modifies our suggestions, it actually feeds back into the model. And this model is already fine-tuned on all their internal code base. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what that can do.
Great. Emily?
Yeah, we're also very excited about Demo Day. We wrote our first line of code about mid-December, and we launched about 3 weeks ago. And we're currently working with about 6 partners to kind of help us flesh out the product. So for Demo Day, we're really excited to, as you said, just showcase what we've been working on, and hopefully find some more people who want to build AI and aren't really sure how to get started.
Yasmin?
Yeah, for us, we just launched what we call the Junior Moose, which is the first version of the product. But yeah, we have early access already open in our website. Really invite developers that want to check it out to sign up. And yeah, excited for Demo Day.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm interested, Lydia. We talked a little bit about how enterprises are cautious about sending their code to third-party APIs. I guess I'm also interested whether you've been receiving feedback around, the origin of the training data, and where the code is trained.
Yeah, so this is actually something that we started realizing. We actually only train on permissively licensed repos. There is enough data out there that even post deduping and cleaning and filtering and processing, where you have enough to train an LLM. I know Copilot is currently going through some legal. Yes, and I think I actually don't have a take on where that's going to land. We're not trying to say this is definitely bad or something, but we think we can just take away that risk altogether by using only permissively licensed code to train on. And we see that the performance of the model has not suffered because of that.
Got it. I guess Yasmin or Emily, are you seeing any of those types of questions coming up in talking to customers?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's really concerned about the privacy of their data, because that is one of the most defensible and strongest moats you as a company could have, because that's specific
especially
to
in an
you.
AI world.
Right. So when we work with customers who want to fine-tune things, you have to be really careful how you handle their data and make sure that you're compliant and secure and not leaking customer A's data to customer B and so on.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can also opt out from specifically again as OpenAI, but all of them offer you to make sure that they don't use the data for their own incentives.
Yeah, I think that's recognized that anyone can opt out of the OpenAI collection of the data to train future models on. So I think related to this, I guess I'm interested, are developers a particularly good target market to be selling to right now AI technologies? Is there a reason we think that developers are so receptive to adding AI into their process?
I love right now selling to developers. It's been an amazing time, I think, to sell this type of product, because the way we see it, we always joke that one of my co-founders was a huge AI hater in the past, skeptical. But with a lot of developers really changed how they perceive AI and the possibilities that exist for them to integrate applications that leverage AI in their stack. So it's been a really interesting time in the developer community right now to offer something of that sort and kind of build for builders with that tool, which is amazing.
Yeah, developers love to build, and AI is an incredible tool that really helps you build.
Yep, makes sense. I am interested, like, sort of imagining the future here. What does like a year from now look like? What does 2 years from now look like in terms of like how much different will the role of a developer be based on the kind of rollout of AI in engineering orgs broadly? Like, do you have a vision of how that will look and how your products will maybe fit into that?
Yeah, for us, I think code completion is really just the beginning of what we want to build out. Just chatting with customers, they're really excited about once you host your own LLM, you can have a lot of additional products on top of that. So, automated unit testing, auto code documentation, even migrations, refactoring. I have a hard time imagining the whole role of a developer 10 years from now is going to be similar at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think you can even imagine a completely different developer environment, right? Like the traditional IDE as it stands might change
Maybe going
completely.
away.
Yeah, exactly.
I think developers right now are like excited to use AI, and I don't see developers being like super worried about them being completely replaced by AI, but mostly excited for the aspects in coding that they like less, to be streamlined and more effective in the work, kind of leaving them the harder parts and like the more challenging and interesting aspects of building something.
Makes sense. I guess I'm interested also in like, does the productivity of developers, become more broadly accessible to people who don't historically have a technical background?
Yeah, for us, this is definitely something we see with our product because we use natural language that you can use to like query observability data. It's something that allows people with like different level, like technical level, to be part of like on-call process, for example. So that's definitely one of the things we see already happening now. I'm sure.
Kind of blurring the lines between your technical and non-technical staff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Well, I would love to see if there's any questions in the audience. We have some mics. If anyone is interested, please let me raise your hand. And yep, we got one in here. JR, do you want to try that?
Thanks. Hey, I'm Evan. I thought what you said, sorry, I'm going to be really myopic because just one thing stood out to me. I thought what you said about engineers liking to build and like generative AI or just AI being appealing to them was pretty spot on and interesting. I'm building a product for lawyers, and I think like everyone has that quality about their brain, but a lot of industries it's like not really unlocked, or we don't have the tech to do it. So yeah, I mean, how do we make? My question is, how do we make AI accessible to more than just people who already like to build? And that's my question.
Great question.
I think to your point, that's like one of the powers right now with like natural language as a tool for building. I think it definitely like invites other communities that felt like maybe a little bit more intimidated by aspects of like the technical aspects of building to like get closer and yeah, through like natural language take more of that for sure.
AI is kind of cool too, I think, because it blurs a little bit what it means to build, because you can build with AI in the sense that you're putting AI into your product technically, but you can also build with AI in that you're working with the AI model itself to build something else. So there's like a lot of different levels of creation here.
Yeah.
I think you guys are, this is very true from a technical perspective, but I also think part of the challenge, and we're being really helped because the headwinds in like the media and everyone's like, yeah, we should do AI. AI is cool, we can do it. But how do you think maybe as an entrepreneur about like telling people that it's safe and okay and not going to take their jobs and stuff like that?
Oh.
Yeah, I guess like selling into people who, maybe like developers maybe are more receptive. How do we start to broaden that?
I think you reframe it as not taking jobs so much as focusing on the irreplaceable part of people, right? So it's not so much that it's just going to replace you. It's going to allow you to be more efficient at the things that you provide as an individual, I think.
And be able to do that at a higher scale, higher
Exactly,
throughput,
yeah.
higher productivity. Yep.
Yep.
I will add to that I think it's also like an opportunity, like to get to people, basically invite people to be kind of first adopters of this technology and not miss right now the opportunity to kind of leverage the power and learn how they can do their profession. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Sure. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you have a company, it's not your job, but I still think there's like an existential question. Still think there's an existential question about that, like we need policymakers and sort of economists to get involved with, where like, yeah, sure, you're an irreplaceable human, but will the market and will policy actually respect that about you? I feel like that's kind of,
Yeah.
it's not a question for
Sure.
you to answer.
Just generally. No, I think we'll get into a lot of these types of topics also later today. Yeah, one last question over there.
Cool. This is more for Lydia maybe, but also for all three of you. Are you thinking about how the stuff you're building is going to alter the relationship between the employee and employer over time? Like, is it going to change career paths? Do you have more training that happens within companies because it's facilitated by the tools you're building? Just maybe play with that for a minute.
Yeah, actually, one thing that some of our customers have mentioned that really we find really interesting is that with these AI tools, you can actually help a lot with the ramping of, for example, helping with the ramping of more junior people, providing more context. I think there are a lot of even the market is what it is right now, there's still a lot of people who are either starting off or have recently switched or are just trying to ramp up. And by suggesting, for example, our model will often suggest, if you have written some best practice docs, it will suggest the code that people have taken the time to write out, versus currently, no one likes to go through all the Confluence docs that you've written or copy and paste things. I think, yeah, the long term, the good thing about AI is that it's changing so quickly. It's kind of hard to imagine what it's like even a year from now, to be honest. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think as you said, I really like the junior engineer example because it takes a while to get used to the nuances of every company's code base, and I could see AI really playing a role in helping you adapt your skill set to whatever situation you're in.
Yeah, I'll add that I think the employers right now should think about how they can use and leverage that technology and like implement technologies that will like help the company that maybe is not like AI first, but there are so many opportunities today to take companies like a step further with all the power that is now being like approachable for everyone. So I would do that step.
I wonder if junior engineers, will be the ones most interested in using Code Complete and ChatGPT to learn programming faster, and they'll somehow suddenly surpass the senior engineers or something. All right, well, thanks so much. This was an awesome panel, and thanks to our panelists. Round of applause. Really appreciate it. Very excited as a CTO how this will all unfold. So thank you.
Thank you.